when it became apparent that Katie Gwyn was going to win the chair of Kershaw County Council, the Unholy Alliance, you know, the people that run the show, they didn't know what to do. They thought that Julian Burns was unbeatable. They had put all their ducks behind him. But at the same time, as Katie was growing in stature and people knowing about her, they also donated to her, just a few, just to cover their bases. After the primary, when she beat Julie Burns and there was no other competition, that's when the Unholy Alliance went to work to compromise and take over Katie Gwyn. Today on the Liberty Report.
If a government claims a right, and then their claim is that they derive these rights from the people.
Right.
Well, how can people give a group rights that they don't themselves have?
To steal from each other.
Right, if we can't tax people, like I can't tax you, where exactly does government derive this right from? And once you come to, you realize that the goal ought to be as voluntary a society as possible. Now, how exactly you achieve that, how far you can push that is debatable, but certainly that should be the goal. That if government is providing a service for you, well then why does it need to be provided by force?
Hello, friends and neighbors. Welcome to the Kershaw County Liberty Report. I'm Jeff Maddox. To understand what is taking place right now and what's going on with Kershaw County Council and Katie Gwyn, we've got to go back and find out the timeline. As we travel back in time, when Vic Dabney was elected to the State House, state representative in 2020, that is when the ball of change came, because the Unholy Alliance, the controllers of the Camden-Kershaw County area, the Vincent Shaheens and Lori Funderburks, they were shocked and awed by Vincent Shaheen being replaced by Penry Goof Officer, as we now call her, and Vic Dabney. Now, Vic subsequently made what many consider racist statements and was censured and subsequently lost in his last election. But at the time, they rode the coattails of Donald Trump and defeated the Unholy Alliance that already had control of everything in Kershaw County. They had control of the county council with Julian Burns, Sammy Tucker, and the Gang of Four. They already had control of Camden with Drakeford and Jeffrey Graham and Stephen Smoke. They had total control of the State House. So, with Vincent Shaheen and Lori Funderburk. So, to have that shock happen shook the foundations of the Unholy Alliance. And Vic Dabney was not a game player. And so they had to get rid of Vic Dabney, and he gave them the opportunity with quote-unquote racist statements. But during that same time frame is when Vic Dabney replaced the long-term liaison, the state delegation liaison, with Katie Gwyn, who he had known previously from the National Guard, where he ran a helicopter simulator, an Apache helicopter simulator, and he had met Katie Gwyn through that. Now, Miss Gwyn moved this way and was introduced to Trip Gwyn when Katie was Katie Greenhow Rose, if we remember correctly. And what better way to get into the Camden clique than to associate with a caterer who does many, many events for the upper echelon of Camden's. Then, after just several months, Miss Gwyn is coaxed into the by the Westwater Rig Gang to throw her hat in the ring against Julian Burns. And at that time, the Unholy Alliance didn't really care. Julian Burns was a sealed deal. They were already compiling $60,000 or $65,000 to do battle with anybody that came along. But they didn't read public sentiment correctly. They didn't understand that anyone but Burns had swept the county. The common people were fed up with the boondoggles and all the Camden goodies that were coming, and the complete streets and greenways and pathways and boondoggles on the hill and swamp parks. Everybody was fed up. They didn't see it, couldn't see it, living in their glass houses on top of their hills. But after the primary and leading up to the main election and then the coronation of Katie Gwyn, the Unholy Alliance was busy getting their fingers in, wooing Miss Gwyn and showing her the light of her errors. And the proof of this is when in her coronation speech, she talks about that recreation is her number one priority all of a sudden. And as I show right here, she talks about recreation, and more recreation.
Parks and Rec in Kershaw County have kind of been left behind. If you look at surrounding counties or other counties with similar population, we do not have a tournament facility where we can host tournaments, where our leagues can play inside the county. We haven't concentrated on making a tournament facility place. So the time is now to do that. There's a real interest in the community. There's a need in the community. From an economic standpoint, this will help offset the taxpayers' cost of the facility. There's a lot of research out there on the economic impact of a 3-day long tournament on a weekend. They did get them drawn up. That was before I was in office. And I would expect this county council to get a second opinion anyway. We're going to start from, I don't want to say the beginning because there's been a lot of work done before this, but we'll start the discussion, then the vote, then go through the planning process and not just take what was previously looked at.
Yep, that's the bullshit meter going off, and it should have raised alarms to the people that were anyone but Burns and thought that Katie Gwyn was going to be the savior. Because if we look at the record of county council since she took over, there's no difference. There's no difference at all between the Julie Burns path and the Katie Gwyn path. Just the bullshit has changed. Woodward Park, the deal was done. The deal was done in October. Yes, they had to scramble a little bit. They already knew what was happening. But they were already at work putting Katie Gwyn in their back pocket. Now, within a couple of months after taking office, Gwyn presided over a $6 million illegal transfer of funds over to the Woodard Park deal with MUSC. They all knew that they had already made a previous commitment of that money, and the transfer would be illegal. But they all blamed it on Danny Templer, the county administrator, as the Judas goat, the scapegoat for all the illegal activities that they had already been ordered to do. And the puppets played their part. We had Russell Brazel as the chosen one to go in and push through a little Trojan horse resolution to vote to all of a sudden in the meeting change to a vote to approve the movement of the money to Woodward Park with MUSC deal. Now, why did Russell do that? Well, Russell's already sold himself, babe. He sold himself for power. Fee and lieu to Roy's Wood Products. And guess what else? Well, he's got bigger plans for Mr. Russell Brazel. He's going to move for the State House. And yes, boys and girls, he's got a lot of money to back him. So, in order to get ahead in the political life, you got to play the game. And in Kershaw County, you play the game with the Unholy Alliance. And you get on board with economic development, jobs. You get on board with recreation, Woodward Park. You get on board with the boys. And Russell's been working on this for a while, you know. Him and his wife opened up a Patriots coffee shop right downtown Camden. You know, just it's a good business. Weaseling his way and kissing ass his way up to the top. That's the way you play the political game. So things were going just as planned. They had gotten through their Woodward Park thing, and they're moving to do other wonderful things for Kershaw County. All the fees and lieux for the big corporations and all. But they had bought into a commodity that they didn't know. Miss Katie Gwyn was about to explode. Everybody should have seen it, but if they knew Katie Gwyn's background of instability and victimhood and false allegations, and dare I say it, PTSD medications. That's right, boys and girls. You know, she's had a very long career of victimhood and depression, and she shows all the signs of a pill head. Busy work this way, that way, can concentrate for a little while, but then has to go over here and back over there, and her whole world is just up and down all around. And crash and burns over her entire life. This is what they didn't know. The Unholy Alliance didn't know. And as Katie Gwyn's mother declined in health and her marriage was on the rocks, she had just about destroyed her husband's catering business. Everything was like a tornado in the wind, tearing everything apart. And now that she's been exposed and all, the Unholy Alliance is moving. Oh my goodness, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And so now they're putting moving chess pieces on the board to get ready for the big bowing out of Miss Katie Gwyn. So what's going to happen? What's going to take place? I got a few predictions. First, we got Russell Brazel going to run for the State House. So we'll see what the earbud man has to say. promises for us all of sunshine and lollipops and more money and grants and all kinds of wonderful things. Then we got the chairwoman's seat. Katie Gwyn has already been moving to bow out and move to Ohio, where she's going to move her National Guard status, as we've already shown you. But who's going to replace her, and what's going on? Ladies and gentlemen, Ben Connell. Ben Connell, it looks as if Ben Connell will be your next chair. Now, the thing about it is, Mr. Connell, in order to keep his seat until his seat comes back up for election next year, in which the demographics have changed because of district lines changing, and he is now in the minority inside that district, so he is almost assuredly going to lose if he does run for that seat. But in order for the special election to come up and him having to give up a seat, it has to be January before Miss Gwyn, or the last meeting of December before Miss Gwyn can resign, in order for Henry McMaster to go ahead and appoint Ben Connell as temporary interim chair until the election, and he won't have to bow out. So that's what the deal is right now, as the Unholy Alliance moves around trying to scramble to keep control and put the pawns, the puppets, the political whores into place that they can keep their agenda going. Now, on the Camden front, do you think Mayor Drakeford needs to, maybe step aside? I mean, she's been there a while now. And Jeffrey Graham and Stephen Smoke they've got things, pretty handled pretty good, got the people paying more in electricity and more in water. And so the town, they're getting pretty good, and they did the COG deal where, the tax money's going to pay for the cleanup of that strip mall and Dusty Bend and all. These are great and wonderful people. Well, there is a guy that doesn't have anything to do right now, that's not in the political life right now, but, he ran for governor one time, and he was in the state senate for a while, and, he's getting ready to have a new steakhouse. Hey, I know, Vincent Shaheen might run for... You don't reckon Vincent Shaheen would run for mayor of Camden now, would you? What kind of move on the chessboard would that be? So, ladies and gentlemen, what you're seeing is the Unholy Alliance moving their chess pieces around, pulling the puppet strings, pushing monies here and there, in order to control Kershaw County. Meantime, we're out there trying to afford a McDonald's a Happy Meal, Big Mac meal for $11. And they don't give a shit if they charge you another hamburger meal. It's only a hamburger meal. That's what Julie Byrne said. Y'all remember that? Katie Gwyn doesn't give a crap. Katie Gwyn is about Katie Gwyn. She's going to be a victim no matter what the hell goes on. But they're going to try to keep Katie Gwyn in this place, in her place, until they can get Ben Connell in that seat. Because Ben Connell will play the game. So does it matter? Does it matter who's in these damn chairs? No. Every one of them are statists. Every one of them are power hungry, narcissists, do-gooders, trying to control the gun. And if you wanted to vote for somebody that doesn't like that thinks that government ought to be limited and all that, you're not going to find one. I am like that, but I don't want the damn job. I mean, if people wrote me in and, Jeff Maddox, and all of a sudden, poof, I was stuck with the damn job, I'd be like a bull in a china shop. I'd be trying to cut government back down to the basics, the smallest, leanest government that you could possibly have, and the people would have to take responsibility for themselves. But I'm not running for office. I don't want to be a part of this system. I don't want to rob my neighbor on behalf of a Woodard Park travel baseball field or anything else. Is that what you guys want? You want a crazy PTSD nut job running the damn place? You want a narcissist with the earbuds in running the place? You want a former ex-highway patrolman guard running the place? Who do you want running the place? Oh, a former dog catcher? Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the Liberty Report. We'll give you an update after this Tuesday's meeting. It's on the 14th. Just a couple of days away. Is Katie Gwyn going to show? Are we going to get another one of those stupid little letters? Oh, I promised my kid the blippies. Oh, I had some personal issues. Or is she going to take a chill pill and get in the damn seat? We'll see. You guys want to come down there at 6 p.m. at the Government Center. If you don't like what I got to say, if you like what I got to say, there's a comment below. Hit the like button, share. Until next time, boys and girls. Peace.
If a government claims a right, and then their claim is that they derive these rights from the people.
Right.
Well, how can people give a group rights that they don't themselves have?
To steal from each other.
Right, if we can't tax people, like I can't tax you, where exactly does government derive this right from? And once you come to, you realize that the goal ought to be as voluntary a society as possible. Now, how exactly you achieve that, how far you can push that is debatable, but certainly that should be the goal. That if government is providing a service for you, well then why does it need to be provided by force?